Imagine finding a forgotten Monticello 5-cent coin today and realizing the coin you almost ignored could carry a story far more fascinating than its ordinary appearance suggests. For generations, these small pieces of American history have passed through pockets, cash registers, coin jars, old collections, and family drawers, often unnoticed. But what if one remarkable example is still hiding somewhere around you? What if the next coin you receive deserves a second look before it disappears forever? Today, we're opening the door to 5 Monticello 5-cent coins that could make you see an everyday change completely differently. And the deeper we go, the more intriguing the trail becomes. One may reveal a detail collectors notice instantly. Another may carry a story locked inside its age, condition, or originality. But here's the question: which coin will become the crown jewel of this hunt? Stay with me, because the final discovery could be the one you absolutely do not want to miss. Coin number 1. Now the treasure hunt begins with a coin that can look almost completely ordinary at first glance. But this is exactly where collectors learn an important lesson. Never judge an old coin by its first impression. Our first discovery is the 1955 with D Monticello 5-cent, carrying the D mint mark, a detail that immediately gives us something important to investigate. Hold the coin under good light. Look closely at the surface. Notice the gray dots and brown layer across the coin. At first, these details may simply look like age, but when you're searching through old coins, every visible characteristic becomes part of the story. And this is where the mystery begins. Think about how many coins from the 1950s have passed through American hands. They could have traveled through stores, cash registers, pockets, drawers, jars, and family collections. Some were spent without a second thought. Some were tossed into containers and forgotten for decades. Others may have been handled so casually that nobody ever wondered whether they deserved a closer examination. But this particular 1955 with D example gives us a reason to stop. Its fine condition adds another layer to the investigation. The surface isn't supposed to look brand new for us to become interested. In fact, the marks, coloration, and signs of age can tell us that this coin has lived through a long journey. And somewhere along that journey, it survived long enough to reach the hands of someone who finally decided to look at it differently. Now pause for a moment. What if a coin sitting in an old family jar has been overlooked for years simply because nobody knew what to look for? That's the question that makes this hobby so addictive. Because when you're searching through older 5-cent pieces, you're not just looking at metal. You're looking at tiny objects that have survived from another era of American life. The date connects us to the past. The mint mark gives us another clue. The condition gives us another piece of the puzzle. And the surface tells us that this coin has its own journey. But there's something even more exciting about today's discovery. The 1955 with D is only the beginning. We're starting this 5-coin journey with a coin that already has collectors' attention, but we haven't reached the discoveries waiting later in the video. As each coin appears, the clues become more intriguing, and the final example will have to earn its place as the crown jewel of this entire hunt. So before you move on, take one more look at your own coins. Check the dates. Check the mint marks. Look at the surfaces. Don't automatically throw an old 5-cent coin back into a jar just because it looks ordinary. Because sometimes the most fascinating discoveries don't announce themselves. They simply sit quietly in your hand, waiting for someone to finally notice. And for this 1955 with D Monticello 5-cent, that second look is where the story truly begins. Coin number 2. Now the trail takes an unexpected turn. Our second discovery is the 1983 with P. Monticello 5 cent, carrying the P mint mark. Unlike the first coin, this one comes from a much later chapter of American coinage, yet it still has a story worth uncovering. Look closely at the surface. The brown layer, black spots, and distinctive red dot immediately give this coin a noticeably aged appearance. It may not look like the kind of coin that would make someone stop in the middle of their day, but that's exactly why this treasure hunt becomes so fascinating. How many coins like this have been sitting unnoticed in old jars, forgotten drawers, inherited collections, or boxes for years? And how many people have looked at an older-looking 5-cent coin and simply assumed there was nothing interesting about it? That is the mistake this hunt is designed to challenge. The 1983 with P gives us another clue to follow: the mint mark. That tiny letter can transform an ordinary-looking piece into something worth investigating more carefully. When you're examining older coins, details that seem insignificant at first can become important pieces of the bigger story. Now imagine discovering this coin inside an old family collection. You pick it up. You turn it over. You notice the unusual surface. Then you see the date, 1983. Then the mint mark, P, and suddenly, the coin you are about to put away becomes the center of your attention. That's the moment every collector understands. The excitement isn't only about what a coin looks like. It's about the possibility that something you've overlooked for years might deserve a closer examination. And this coin carries another fascinating mystery. Why does its surface look this way? And what does its condition tell us about its journey? The brown coloration, the black spotting, that red detail, the overall old appearance. Each feature adds another layer to the story. But don't let this second discovery fool you into thinking you've already seen the most exciting coin. We still have 3 more Monticello 5-cent coins waiting. And that's where this treasure hunt becomes even harder to predict. Because coin 1 started the investigation. Coin 2 has taken us in a completely different direction. But what happens when we reach coin 3? Could the next discovery reveal an even more fascinating combination of age, appearance, mint mark, and collector appeal? That's what makes these searches so addictive. You never know which coin will make you stop and say, "Wait, why did I almost overlook this?" So if you have an old 5-cent coin sitting somewhere in your home, don't rush past it. Take a closer look. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the surface, because the next remarkable discovery might not be locked inside a museum display. It could be sitting quietly in an old coin jar, waiting for someone curious enough to investigate. And our 1983 with P. Monticello 5 cent has just added another mysterious chapter to this hunt. The crown jewel is still somewhere ahead. Coin number 3. Now the hunt takes a completely different turn. Our third discovery isn't simply another old-looking 5-cent coin. This time, we're stepping into a piece of American history connected to exploration, adventure, and one of the most recognizable journeys ever commemorated on U.S. coinage. Meet the 2004 with P. Lewis and Clark Expedition Bicentennial Keelboat Nickel. Look closely at this coin. The design itself immediately changes the atmosphere. Instead of the familiar Monticello scene we've been following, we're now looking at the keelboat, a design created to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition. And that makes this coin feel different the moment it enters the story. But here's where our treasure hunt gets interesting. The coin we're examining carries a P mint mark, along with gray and brown dots across its surface. Its appearance is described as beautiful, even though it has seen circulation and remains in fine condition. That combination makes you want to stop and investigate. Because imagine this coin sitting unnoticed in an ordinary collection. Someone sees the date, 2004. They see the familiar 5-cent denomination. Maybe they even notice the unusual design. And then they put it away without realizing they may have been holding a fascinating, commemorative chapter of American history. That's the mystery. How many people have handled coins without ever asking why the design looks different? How many have seen the keelboat and never stopped to wonder what story it represents? And how many have placed a coin like this into a jar, drawer, or old collection and simply forgotten about it? The P mint mark gives us another detail to examine. Then come the surface characteristics, the gray and brown dots that give this particular example its distinctive appearance. And because this coin is circulated, it carries something else that makes the story more personal. Evidence that it has traveled through real hands and real places. Think about that for a second. A coin created to remember an extraordinary American expedition eventually became something that could move quietly through everyday life. That contrast is what makes this discovery so fascinating. A historic journey, a commemorative design, a coin released into circulation. And now, years later, an example sitting in front of us waiting to be examined. But don't get comfortable yet. We're already at coin 3, and the trail is becoming harder to predict. The first coin introduced us to an older Monticello 5-cent discovery. The second brought another unexpected surface story. Now this third coin has taken us into the world of American exploration. And there are still 2 more coins waiting. What will they reveal? Could the next one have an even more unusual combination of date, mint mark, condition, and appearance? Could the final coin completely change the way you look at the 5-cent pieces sitting around your home? That's why you don't want to leave this treasure hunt early. Because every coin we've opened so far has revealed something different. And if you're the kind of person who has an old coin jar somewhere in a closet, a drawer, or a family collection, this is the moment to start looking differently. Don't just see the denomination. See the date. See the mint mark. See the design. Look at the condition. And most importantly, look closer than you normally would. Our 2004 with P keelboat nickel has now added a remarkable historical chapter to the hunt. But we're not finished. 2 discoveries remain, and the crown jewel is still waiting behind the next reveal. Coin number 4. Our discovery is the 1976 with S Monticello 5-cent, carrying the S mint mark. The moment you see that date, another chapter of American history comes into focus. 1976 Ampere's year, forever associated with the United States bicentennial. But don't let the familiar date fool you. Look closely at this particular coin. Its surface shows gray and green dots, and its overall appearance is described as almost fine condition. To someone passing through a handful of coins, those details might seem easy to overlook. But for a serious treasure hunt, this is exactly where the investigation becomes interesting. Because what if this coin had been sitting unnoticed for decades? Imagine finding it inside an old family coin jar. You pick it up. You notice the date, 1976. Then you discover the tiny S mint mark. Suddenly, the coin isn't just another 5-cent piece. It's a small, surviving object from one of the most memorable years in American history. And now another question appears. How many 1976 coins have been handled, spent, stored, and forgotten without anyone taking a serious second look? That's what makes this search so exciting. The gray and green dots give this example a distinctive appearance, while its almost fine condition reminds us that this coin has clearly experienced a journey. It may have passed through countless hands before eventually finding its way into someone's collection or storage. And there's something almost poetic about that. A coin connected to America's bicentennial era could have traveled quietly through everyday life while the country around it changed dramatically. Yet here it is, still carrying its date, still carrying its mint mark, still carrying the physical traces of its journey. And now, decades later, we're looking at it with completely different eyes. But here's the part you cannot ignore. This is coin 4. We've already uncovered 3 very different stories. Now we've reached a 1976 WTS example with its own distinctive combination of date, mint mark, surface appearance, and condition. And if you're thinking we've reached the end of the excitement, don't, because one coin remains. The final discovery is waiting. The crown jewel of this entire 5-coin journey hasn't been revealed yet. So before we move forward, take a moment and look at the 5-cent coins around you differently. Don't just ask, is this old? Ask, what year is it? Where was it minted? What does the surface reveal? What story has this little piece of American history survived? That's the mindset that turns an ordinary coin search into a real treasure hunt. Our 1976 with S. Monticello 5 cent has now earned its place in the investigation. But the final chapter is still sealed. One coin remains, and if you've stayed this long, you definitely don't want to miss what comes next. Coin number 5. The last coin in our treasure hunt takes us all the way back to 1940, a time when America was entering a dramatically different chapter of its history. This is the 1940 Monticello 5 cent, without a mint mark. Look at it carefully. The surface carries a grey layer, and the coin shows clear signs of having been circulated. It doesn't look like something that would immediately demand attention from everyone who sees it. And that's precisely what makes this moment so fascinating. Because imagine this coin traveling through everyday American life for decades. Someone receives it. Someone spends it. Someone places it in a drawer. Someone drops it into a jar. And eventually, it becomes just another forgotten 5-cent piece. But what if someone had stopped? What if they had turned it over? What if they had checked the date? 1940. That one detail takes us back more than 8 decades. And suddenly, this isn't just a coin sitting in your hand. It's a survivor, a tiny piece of American history that has crossed generations. The absence of a mint mark becomes another clue in our investigation. The grey surface becomes another part of its physical story. And its circulated condition reminds us that this coin wasn't simply preserved away from the world, it experienced it. Think about that. While decades passed, this little 5-cent piece continued carrying its original date. It may have changed hands countless times. It may have been overlooked by people who had absolutely no idea what they were holding. And now, after all those years, it becomes the final piece of our 5-coin treasure hunt. But there's something even more important here. The most exciting part of searching through old coins isn't simply finding something old. It's discovering the story hidden behind something you once considered ordinary. That's why the 1940 Monticello 5 cent deserves a closer look. The date, the missing mint mark, the grey layer, the circulated condition. Every detail gives us another reason to pause before dismissing an old coin as worthless pocket change. And now the moment we've been building toward has arrived. According to the market value provided for this video, this coin is valued at $260,000. Yes, $260,000. That number changes the entire atmosphere of our treasure hunt. But remember, a claimed market value is not the same as a guaranteed selling price. Actual coin values can vary dramatically depending on authentication, exact variety, grading, preservation, provenance, and what qualified buyers are willing to pay. Still, the possibility is powerful enough to make one question impossible to ignore. What have we been overlooking? How many old 5-cent coins are sitting in forgotten jars right now? How many are hiding in family collections? How many have been passed from one generation to another without anyone taking the time to examine them properly? And what happens if one of those coins deserves a second look? That's the real treasure hunt. Not simply chasing a number, not simply searching for an old date, but learning to notice the details that everyone else might ignore. So before you spend another old 5-cent coin, stop for a moment. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the surface. Look at the condition. And if something seems unusual, don't rush to dismiss it. Because our final discovery, the 1940 Monticello 5-cent, has shown us exactly why an ordinary-looking coin can become the most unforgettable piece of the entire hunt. 5 coins. 5 stories. One final reminder. Sometimes the smallest treasures are the ones people overlook first.